Hey, this is Colin Nathan Alim, the real estate boy. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about this article that I seen in on realtor.com. Okay. The article is entitled Four Surprising Reasons Home Buyers Real Estate Deals Fall Through Today. Yours could be next. Okay. So we're going to be talking about this. I'm going to be giving you my opinion on this article and be breaking down some things maybe the article isn't saying, because I don't want your deals to fall through. Okay. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you guys a crazy secret that not a lot of real estate agents want to put out there, or a lot of lenders don't want to put out there also. Okay. To do what things to do, what happened. Let me back up 1 second. Things that you can do if your deal falls apart. Okay. So stay to the end and I'm going to be giving you guys that. Okay. So let's get into this article. All right. I'm going to pull this article up so y'all can see the article also. Okay. Let me pull this article up right here. Give me 1 second. How y'all doing today? All right. Let this article. So the article is right here. All right. So this is an article right here. For surprising reason, home buyers, real estate deals fall through today, and yours could be next. All right, and this was written yesterday by Kimberly Dawn Newman. All right, so it says owning a home is the American dream, but at the moment, it's more like home buying cancel culture, which is pretty funny to me, the way that they kind of structured that sentence. It says, according to a 2022 survey by home warranty site Clutch Home Services of 1,000 Americans who have tried to buy or sell a home in the past year, more than half of buyers, 51%, say that they had a home purchase contract fall through in that time period. Okay. Why is this happening? And what can you do to make sure that your own real estate offer doesn't crash and burn? So here are some reason deals are collapsing right now and what you do to help prevent this from happening to you. So all right, so let me break this down for you real fast. So when you're okay, so let's go through the process. So you pick your realtor and you pick your lender, and then you get your pre-approval and you go and see homes. Once you go and see homes, you put a contract on that property, which is an offer to the seller. If the seller accepts it, then what happens is that now you're under contract. Now when you're under contract, what this is talking about is sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes it falls through. The contract falls through, the deal falls through, and they're going to give you four things or four reasons why deals fall through. Why is that important? Because if you know why deals fall through, then you can kind of troubleshoot your deals, whether you're an investor or whether you're a home buyer. If you know the reasons why deals fall through, you can structure your deal a lot better. Okay. So let's move this up. And the article says that well, the first issue that they're going to tackle here is rising interest rates cause financing to fall through. Okay, so we're in a rising interest environment. Okay, interest rates are rising. Fed just came out last week and raised the interest rate, and they've been raising it every time they meet. It seems like every time they get together, they're raising the interest rate. I remember not too long ago that the interest rate was at zero. And we're looking and I'm like, wow, they're just going to keep this interest rate at zero. It was crazy. But now it seemed like they can't keep their feet off the pedal. All right. So the article says when buyers first start looking for a home, they usually dutifully check into mortgages to figure out how much home they can afford. The problem, what's the problem? The problem is in a mere year's time, interest rates have already doubled from the low 3% range in 2021 to the 6% range today. As a result, buyers might not be able to borrow as much now. In fact, the Clutch survey found that 42% of buyers who had to pull out of home deals did so because their mortgage did not come through. Okay, and let's. I'm going to read the whole thing. All right, and then I'll go back to you with my opinion. So it says many home buyers may have gone through the pre-approval process back in 2022 or even 2021, but continually lost out on homes during bidding wars. Okay, and this was said by this real estate agent Elizabeth. She's a real estate agent with Coldwell Banker Realty in Boulder, Colorado. So she also says, so while shopping in today's market, they may be putting offers in at a price point they qualified for months ago. All right. This other guy, Jason, who's the author of Think Like a Realtor and a real estate agent with Community Choice Realty in Southeast Michigan, says mortgage approvals often fall at the finish line when a home buyer is attempting to purchase a home in the higher range of their approval amount. All right. He continues to say, when the interest rate rise, it causes the buyer to no longer be approved for the amount of home they are purchasing. All right. He explains. For example, if a home buyer is maxed out on their approval at, let's say, 250,000, and the increase in interest rates has them now being approved for $230,000, they will no longer be able to get that $250,000 loan. And this all makes sense, okay? I think we got a little bit more down here. All right, just there. All right. So what you have is you have a person who's looking to get a home, and they go down and they're sitting down with their mortgage lender, and the mortgage lender tells them, okay, you're approved for 3% or 4% or 5% or whatever that approval is for. So they're telling them that you're approved for this. Here's the issue is your rate doesn't get locked in until you have a contract on a home. So it depends on when you find a home when that interest rate is locked. So everything before that, they're just kind of giving you an estimate because interest rates change daily. So you go in and you get a pre-approval. Today is September 27th. If you go in and get an approval, they may say, okay, today your interest rate would be 6.2%. Okay. But it's not locked. It's only locked when you actually have a contract. A contract meaning that you went under contract. Okay. So once you go under contract, then you'll, one second. Okay. Once you go under contract, then that's when your interest rate is locked. And your interest rate is only locked for a certain amount of time. Now, homes usually take 30 to 45 days to settle. So your interest rate will be locked for a certain amount of time. So your interest rate may be locked for 45 days or 60 days. I'm not sure of the exact date because I'm not a lender. Okay. But let's just say 60 days. So it's locked for 60 days. So you're going to get that 6.2% for that 60 days. Outside of that 60 days, if that contract or that process goes out of 60 days, now you're going to have to pay to relock that loan or relock that interest rate. Okay. So what he said, well, what she's saying here, many home buyers may have gone through the okay. So what she's saying here is that, okay, person went through the pre-approval process in 2021 and they were losing out because of bids, because everybody was trying to buy a home, as they said. Okay. But now, so while shopping in today's market, they may be pulling offers at a price point they qualified for months ago. So last year, they got pre-approved and they were losing out in bidding wars, but they're still trying to get a home. But because the interest rate have gone up, now what they were pre-approved for last year is less this year. And this is what Jason's saying. Jason's saying last year, for example, the person could qualify for 250, but now they can only qualify for 230. So there's a big difference between a house that's $250,000 versus one that is $230,000. So when that happens, they have to reevaluate as far as, okay, what are we doing out here? How much home are we looking for? Okay. So to move on, what it says, what to do. Make sure to lock in a low interest rate before you start home shopping. But if that doesn't work, try looking at different loan options to see if you can find one that still works for your deal. And this is something that I want to kind of go in on a little bit later. Okay, I want to save to the end. But what this is saying is, okay, lock in. But again, make sure you lock in a low interest rate before you start shop. That's a little bit because again, you don't lock the rate in until you have something in under contract. All right. So this guy, Jeffrey from Exit Realty, he says, we have been able to protect the interest rates of a few buyers recently by talking to their lenders about different loan products. As an example, FHA loans, which are government backed, still remain in the mid to low 4% range. Okay. Also see if you can figure out how to lower your interest rate by paying upfront points. In some cases, we were able to consult with buyers and determined in conversation with their lenders that they were able to use some of their down payment funds and reallocate it to buy down their interest rate. All right. Um, Last but not least, buyers should check in with potential lenders every 30 days to keep their borrowing estimates accurate. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. You definitely should check in with your lenders just to make sure that your pre-approval is still accurate, because the way the interest rates are changing here. Now, I want to say this. There's not a direct correlation from the interest rates that are being moved up by the Fed and mortgage rates. Okay? There's a lot of factors that go into mortgage rates, but it's not a direct correlation. So what does that mean? That means just because they raise the Fed rate doesn't necessarily mean that the mortgage rate goes up also. All right? So I just want y'all to keep that in mind. All right. Now let's go to the second one. So the first one was a lot of deals are falling out because of rising interest rates. Number two, as far as the reason why deals are falling out, or home buyers deals are falling out, is that the home doesn't appraise for what the buyer offered. Okay, so this is going to be a good one. It says another scenario that home buyers may encounter in today's inflated real estate market is that they're focused to pay way over the asked price to get the home. Yet, once the lender sends an appraiser to deem how much they think the house is worth, the appraisal comes in lower than what the buyer had offered. According to Clutch Survey, 35% of property purchase fell through because of appraisal problems. This happened recently to real estate broker Debbie Murray of Ally, I guess that's Ally Beth Allman and Associates in Dallas. I might be butchering that name. If I did, please forgive me. It says, my buyers had won a bidding war against 19 other people, coming in with an offer way over the list price, she says. But then the house didn't appraise for that amount, and the buyers had to cough up an additional $50,000 in order to close the deal. The appraisal would not back down. Wow. Okay. It says statistics from CoreLogic showed that in May of 2021, 19% of home purchase transactions had a contract price above what the home appraised for, which is unsurprising since the market has been so hot. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. All right. So let me guys break it down what happened. Okay. So when you put an offer in, okay, so where does the price come from? The price comes from the seller. So the seller says, hey, I want to sell my property for $300,000. And then what happens is the buyer goes and says, hey, I'll buy it for $300,000. Well, what was happening in the past year, 2 years, or 3 years is the market's been so red hot. If you put your house up for $300,000, you probably had a bunch of offers over 300,000. Okay. So in her particular situation, in Debbie's situation, is her buyer went, I don't know what the price is, so I'll make a price up. Debbie's buyer was bidding on a home. And if you haven't tried to buy a home, there's a lot of stress in waiting to see if the seller picks your offer. So her buyer beat 19 other bids for that home. So they probably agreed on the price. I said the price was 300,000. So they agreed on 300,000. So they're relieved. They beat 19 people out, and they probably did everything they had to do. The last step was what? The appraisal. Because the appraisal usually comes at the end of underwriting. All right. When you go into mortgage underwriting, usually the last step is the appraisal. What's an appraisal? An appraisal is an appraiser going out and giving his educated opinion on the value of that home. And the thing about it is that it's done by the bank. The bank needs that because the bank's not going to overpay for a home. If you agree to buy a home for $1 million and the appraisal comes back at $100,000, the bank's only going to give you $100,000. So in this case, just say the house was $300,000, she beat 19 other bids to buy this house. When the appraisal came in, it came in at $250,000. All right, so now the appraisal is at $250,000. Now what do? You got three options. Number one is that the seller can bring the price down. So the seller can bring the price down to $250,000. This is what, in my experience, this is what happens most of the time. Or what can happen is y'all can meet somewhere in the middle. The seller can bring the home down, let's just say to $270,000, and then the buyer can bring $20,000 extra on top of their closing costs. Or your third option is what happened here, is that the seller said, no, I'm still selling this for $300,000. And her buyer had to give $50,000. $50,000. They had to bring $50,000 on top of what they were already paying for closing costs. Wowzers. Wowzers. All right, so what to do? All right, so the issue here is what? Issue here, the house doesn't appraise. Now they're going to give you their advice on what to do. All right, before you get into a bidding war, keep in mind how far above the purchase price you think you can go and still cover the mortgage if the home doesn't appraise for the amount. All right, so this guy Bruce from Remax Town and Country in Atlanta says, while sales are collapsing, we are still in an inventory shortage in many markets. And as a result, prices in most markets have continued to increase. Okay, so he's a real estate agent and a lawyer. Okay, in other words, it says, in other words, try not to bid over your head. And if the appraisal comes back too low, you can also ask the sellers if they'll negotiate to a lower sales price. And that's right. That's absolutely correct. So what I do is if it comes down, if it comes in lower, if that was my client and it came down to 250, I would really try hard for them to lower the price. I would really try my darnest to have them lower the price. Listen, you got to lower that price. Okay. But in this, they probably weren't budging. And sometimes you can go back to the appraisal and try to get another appraisal or try to get them to have a second look. But a lot of times that falls on deaf ears. So that was kind of tough for them. But what can you do? Like they're saying, what I tell people is number one, if you're going to overbid, because there are situations where you have to overbid. Number one, find out what you're comfortable with bidding. Okay. So, for example, if the home was 300,000 and we had to overbid, okay, how much are you comfortable? How much do you feel like this house is worth? Okay, that's number one. Number two is I also run comps. I also run comps on the neighborhood to kind of see like, hey, all right, we're going in. If the home is $300,000, okay, it's okay to offer 310 or 320. But if you do 350, now you're going into uncharted waters. So I try to guide, not try, but I guide my clients on where they kind of need to be, but they need to be comfortable. Okay, they need to be comfortable in this situation. They need to be comfortable paying 310 for the property. Okay. Anyway, let's keep it moving. It says now number three, as far as the third reason why um deals fall out. Okay. Buyers have racked up too much debt. Let's see what they're talking about. It says, we get it. Times have been tough. And with the currently high inflation, it's easy to just put purchases on a credit card and worry about it later. But if you're a potential home buyer, you need to keep your eye on your debt to income ratio. Your DTI ratio calculates how much you owe each month versus how much you earn. Specifically, it's the percentage of your gross monthly income before taxes that goes toward payments for um, credit cards, car loans, college loans, and yes, mortgages. The lower your DTI, the less of a risk you are to a lender, and the more you can borrow. I'll tell you a way to get around this. If you stay to the end, I'll tell you a way to get around this also. Um, it says mortgage lenders calculate the DTI percentage when they look to approve someone for the maximum amount. Most of the time, it's 43% to 45%. Okay. For example, and this was said by what was the guy's name? I forget one of the guys up earlier in this article. Okay. For example, if someone makes $2,500 a month in gross income, they can't have more than $1,125 in monthly debt showing on their credit report. Okay. So what does this mean? Debt to income ratio. Debt to income ratio is your monthly income. What's the percentage or how does it compare to the monthly debts that's on your credit report? Because that's what the lender is looking at. Your debt that's on your credit report, on your personal credit report. Okay. And a lot of times it'd be like 43%, 45%. So you can't have more income. You can't have more debt than 45% of your income. Okay. And the DTI or the debt to income ratio gets lower when you have these grants. I know a lot of us are getting these down payment assistance grants, but the DTI for that is a lot of times lower than what it will regularly be. Okay. So what to do? That's what the article tells you to do. All right. Though it's tempting when money is tight to just pay the minimum on the credit card and let balances go up, a better move for home buyers is to try to get their other debts down before applying for a mortgage. And don't buy a bunch of big ticket items while home shopping, as this will negatively affect your DTI. You might also want to weigh whether it's today's uncertain economy you feel financially secure enough to buy a home. All right. This is Ali Wolf said, some home shoppers are interested in buying a home, but feel a bit uneasy about the state of their economy and their job security. All right. Consumers are also wondering if it might make more sense to wait on a purchase until they get more certainty about how the housing market progresses. In uncertain financial times, it's always wise to shore up your emergency fund for life's curveballs. And if you do decide to move forward on your house hunt, aim for properties comfortably within your budget. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. So, have too much debt. Again, they're going to look at your credit score, but they're also going to look at your debt to income ratio. Okay. So, you really need to try to keep your debt under control and try to find out what your debt to income ratio is beforehand. But if it is high, you got to bring it down. And also be cognizant that when you're using these down payment assistance, it may be even tighter. Okay. But I'll give you a way to hide your debt to income at the end of this. All right. Number four is home prices have dropped and buyers have found a better deal. So again, we're going over the reasons why home buying purchases fall through. So it says, while some failed real estate deals today occur despite a buyer's wishes, in certain cases, buyers are actually deciding to back out. According to the Clutch survey, 23% of buyers have pulled out of a contract, and the reason might surprise you. They found similar homes at a lower price. That guy Wolf said that the real estate market slowed recently from red hot levels of activity to a more sustainable pace of activity, resembling the 2019 through 2018 2019 housing market, says Wolf. The housing market has finally tilted to more friendly to buyers after 2 years of the ultimate seller's market. Now, real estate is super local. Okay, we're in the Philadelphia area. Philadelphia area, yes, it's cooled off. Okay, it's definitely cooled off, but I wouldn't say it's a buyer's market. Okay, not yet. I would not say it's a buyer's market. So to continue with this, it says as a result of the shift, buyers who've recently gone under contract for a home at a highly inflated price may now realize that their property's value has dropped significantly before they even close. All right. This definitely has some buyers questioning their bids and in some cases looking for better deals. So they may have overbid for the property and now prices have come down so rapidly that it's like, this one, it's not worth it. Okay. And now they're trying to back out the deal to go get another deal. All right. So it says what to do. Buyers already under contract in a declining market have several options. And this was said by Leon. I don't know what that word, I don't know what that name is. Okay. First, they can seek a reason to terminate the contract without penalty. For example, there might be a title, condition, financing, or appraisal contingency way to get out. You can also negotiate a lower home price with the seller. Okay, barring that, if the property's value has declined more than the earnest money deposit, then walking away may actually make financial sense as well. All right, so what are they talking about? What they're talking about is that when you buy a home, you have to put an earnest money deposit down. All right. This is some type of funds that says that you're serious about buying the home. So if you're buying it $300,000 and maybe $5,000, okay, you're going to put that money down. Once you put that money down, okay, now that money goes to the seller and it's held for you. And it's going to go towards your closing costs at the end. Now, there are certain ways for you to get that money back. For example, there's a due diligence period, okay, or an inspection period where you hire an inspector to inspect the property and you can pull out for any reason. A lot of times, not all the time, because everything in real estate is negotiable, but a lot of times it may be 10 days. Okay, so you'll have 10 days. You may have only 5 days to give the earnest money deposit. But then you have 10 days to do the inspection. And then after the inspection, that's your due diligence time and you can pull out. Also, you'll have a contingency in your contract that says that if you don't get the mortgage, okay, if you can't qualify for the mortgage, then you can get out the contract and also or break the contract and also get your money back. Or if it doesn't appraise, you can also have the contingency if it doesn't appraise for the amount that you agreed upon that you get your money back. And also what it's saying is that, for example, if you bought a home for $300,000 and you put down $5,000, okay? But the home's value went down to 250. All right. Now this is extreme, but I'm doing this so I can prove a point to you. If it goes down 50,000, you only put 5,000 up. You only put $5,000 up for the earnest money deposit. So what does that mean? That means that it made you walking away and not buying a home for $300,000 that's valued at 250. That may make more financial sense than going through with it using that 5,000, but now you're at a home that's upside down. Okay. It says also Wolf suggests that buyers may wish to look at purchasing new homes from home builders. According to Zen Zada or Zonda. I don't know what that is, but 46% of home builders in the U.S. reported an increase in contract cancellations from July to August. As a result, builders may be more willing to negotiate with home buyers right now than at any point in the past few years. Some are even offering to help pay down mortgage rate interest points to help buyers qualify. And that's true. A lot of builders, they kind of see what's going on and they're helping out more. Why? Because they've already built these properties and they'll build out, let's just say 10. So after like maybe 2 or 3, the rest is profit. So they're trying to sell all of them. Okay, so to make a long story short, what they're saying is maybe people were turning away from builders because builders was like, "Hey, listen, if you're not playing my game, then I'm not even messing with you." So they would just go south on you, and it's either my way or the highway. So now they're being friendly again, and they're doing different incentives to bring people in. Okay, all right, y'all. So that's it. Let me start sharing here. Okay, guys. So that's it. I gave you the 4 things that happens the 4 surprising reasons why deals fall through. Now, if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you 2 things that you can do. Okay. Number one is what you can do is you can get approved with more than one lender. You can get a pre-approval with more than one lender, so that if this lender falls through, then you have this lender over here. Okay, and I've had that happen where I got pre-approved because I try to make all not make, but I suggest for my buyers to get pre-approved with more than one lender. And when they do that, okay, you're going to go with this lender, but you're already started with this lender also. So that if this lender drops the ball or it falls through for some reason, you always got this lender. All right. So that's my suggestion. One way to counteract some of these reasons why these deals fall through is for you to get more than one lender, and it doesn't affect your credit score as long as your credit gets pulled within like 14 days. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing that I promise you guys is, okay, how do you hide your debt to income ratio? One way to hide money or your debt to income ratio is have a business. If you have a business, then you can get credit in the business's name. You get credit in the business's name, you can take that debt and you can put it over here with your business credit. Now for a lot of business credit, you still have to personally guarantee it. Okay, but it does. The point is that it doesn't show up on your personal credit credit report. It doesn't show up on your personal credit report. Okay, so that way you hide your debt to income. So it looks like your debt to income, maybe your debt is only $1,000 because you move the other 5,000 a month, and I'm exaggerating, but the 5,000 a month to your credit card, so they never see it. Okay. All right, y'all. This is Colin Nathan Aleem, the real estate boy. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate, I got you. If you're also looking to move to the Philadelphia area or Delaware or New Jersey, I got you. I get calls every day with people moving to these areas. So let me help you make a smooth move, okay? All right, y'all. I'm out.